Be prepared. Tomorrow, something is shifting in the sky that will fundamentally change how you show up in this world. And most people, they have no idea what's about to hit them. On Tuesday, March 31st at 9:40 at night, the Sun in Aries will form a perfect trine with Black Moon Lilith in Sagittarius. If that sounds like just another astrological event, you're missing the entire point. This isn't a gentle nudge from the universe. This is a cosmic skeleton key unlocking the parts of you that society has been trying to keep caged. And here's what makes this insane. This alignment happens once every 9 months, but tomorrow's version is different. It's hitting at the exact degree, 11 degrees and 20 minutes, in the most powerful fire signs imaginable. The Sun is exalted in Aries, meaning it's operating at maximum capacity. Lilith is wandering through Sagittarius, the sign of untamed truth and philosophical rebellion. What does this mean for you? Tomorrow, the apology ends. That thing you do where you shrink yourself to make others comfortable, where you dim your light so you don't seem too much, where you second-guess your intensity, your passion, your raw authenticity, it stops. Not gradually, not eventually, tomorrow. And if you've been feeling this strange pressure building inside you, like something is about to burst through the surface, keep watching. Because there's one specific reason why this is happening to you right now, and I'll explain it later. So stay tuned. But first, you need to understand exactly what Black Moon Lilith is, because without this foundation, you won't grasp the magnitude of what's about to unfold. Black Moon Lilith isn't a planet, and that's exactly why it's so powerful. Most people think astrology is just about planets, but some of the most potent forces in the cosmos aren't physical objects at all. They're mathematical points in space, and Black Moon Lilith is one of them. Astronomically, Lilith represents the lunar apogee, the exact point in the moon's elliptical orbit where it's farthest from Earth. Think about that for a second. The moon governs our emotions, our security, our conditioning, all the ways we've learned to survive in society by playing it safe. But Lilith, she exists at the maximum distance from all of that. She's the empty focal point, the void, the part of you that refuses to be domesticated. Where the moon teaches you to belong, Lilith teaches you to exile yourself if that's what it takes to stay true. Where the moon seeks approval and emotional safety, Lilith would rather burn it all down than pretend to be something she's not. Mythologically, Lilith was Adam's first wife, not created from his rib, but from the same earth. When she was told to submit, to assume a lesser role, she refused. She chose the wilderness over subjugation. She chose exile over compliance. And for that, patriarchal traditions demonized her, painted her as a creature of chaos and darkness. But here's what they don't tell you. Lilith isn't the villain of the story. She's the archetype of the person who said no when everyone else was saying yes. She's the energy of the marginalized, the outcast, the one who was punished for refusing to fit into a box that was never meant to contain them. In your natal chart, wherever Lilith sits, that's where you've been told you're too much, too loud, too intense, too sexual, too wild, too honest, too opinionated. And for years, maybe decades, you've been trying to file down those edges to make yourself palatable, digestible, safe for public consumption. But tomorrow, the Sun, the very essence of your conscious identity, your life force, your radiant self, forms a perfect, frictionless trine to this exiled part of you. And when that happens, the cage door doesn't just crack open, it disintegrates. The fire trine, when power flows without permission. A trine is the most effortless aspect in astrology. It's a 120-degree angle between 2 points that share the same element. There's no friction, no resistance, no struggle. It's pure, undeniable momentum. When squares and oppositions show up, you grow through conflict, through external pressure, through obstacles that force you to evolve. But a trine is different. It's the universe saying, "Here, take this. It's yours. No conditions, no tests. Just receive it." Tomorrow's trine is happening in fire, the element of passion, action, visibility, courage. This isn't a quiet internal shift happening in the privacy of your own mind. This is loud. This is visible. This is you stepping into your full power in a way that everyone around you will notice. The sun in Aries is already operating at peak capacity. Aries is where the sun is exalted, meaning its core functions, vitality, identity, self-assertion, are amplified to their maximum potential. When the sun transits Aries, you're naturally driven toward independence, bravery, the courage to exist on your own terms. Now add Lilith in Sagittarius, the sign of philosophical truth, higher wisdom, the refusal to accept dogma just because everyone else does. Sagittarius doesn't bow to false prophets. It doesn't trust authority blindly. It seeks its own truth, even if that truth makes it a heretic. When the exalted sun in Aries forms a perfect trine to Lilith in Sagittarius, what you get is this: the conscious, radiant self effortlessly integrating the shadow, the wild, the exiled parts that have been waiting for permission to exist. But here's the twist: you don't need permission anymore. Tomorrow you realize that the only approval you've ever needed is your own. 3 signs are about to reclaim absolute power. While this energy ripples through the entire collective, there are 3 zodiac signs positioned to receive the maximum benefit. If you have your sun, moon, or rising in Aries, Sagittarius, or Leo, tomorrow is your coronation. These are the fire signs, the triplicity that shares the element of passion, creation, and unfiltered expression. For these signs, the Sun-Lilith trine doesn't just offer an upgrade. It offers a complete rewrite of their relationship with power. Let me break down exactly what's happening for each of you. Aries, stop apologizing for wanting what you want. Aries, the sun is currently transiting your first house, the house of identity, physical presence, and self-actualization. This is your season. This is when you're supposed to shine the brightest, move the fastest, assert yourself the hardest. At the same time, Black Moon Lilith is transiting your 9th house, the house of philosophy, higher truth, and expansive worldview. The 9th house asks big questions. What do I believe? What truth am I willing to defend? What wisdom guides my path? When these 2 houses form a trine, something profound happens. Your natural impulsivity, your speed, your direct approach to life, it's suddenly backed by a higher philosophical truth. You're not just acting on impulse anymore, you're acting on conviction. For years, Aries, you've been told to slow down, to wait for others, to soften your approach, to apologize for being too aggressive, too demanding, too direct. You've been conditioned to believe that your natural fire is somehow a problem that needs to be managed. But tomorrow, that conditioning shatters. You realize with absolute clarity that the only people who benefit from you dimming your light are the ones who want to keep you manageable, the ones who are threatened by your power. Tomorrow, you stop asking for permission, you stop waiting for consensus, you stop apologizing for knowing exactly what you want and going after it without hesitation. And when you do this, when you finally embody your raw, unedited code, doors that were previously locked start swinging open. Your luck during this period isn't passive, it's directly tied to your willingness to be fiercely independent, uncompromisingly honest, and willing to apply force when necessary. When you reclaim the parts of yourself labeled too loud, you step into an era of unprecedented authority and visibility. Sagittarius, your wildness is your currency. Sagittarius, this is your moment. Black Moon Lilith is currently transiting your first house, the house of identity, physical body, and immediate environment. Lilith in the first house is intense. It's the dark goddess sitting right in your core, forcing you to confront every way you've been playing small. And the sun, it's transiting your 5th house, the house of creativity, romance, joy, and self-expression. This is the house of pleasure, of what makes you feel alive, of the risks you take for the sake of joy. When these 2 houses connect through a fire trine, you experience emotional rebirth. For the past 9 months, as Lilith has moved through Sagittarius, you've been excavating shadow material. You've been confronting the heretic wound, the cellular memory of being punished for thinking differently, for refusing to conform, for holding a truth that threatened the established order. You've accumulated dense energy around feeling misunderstood, judged for your non-conformity, exhausted by the burden of maintaining a performative optimism for the benefit of others. You've played the good sport at the expense of your own boundaries. Tomorrow, that ends. The Sun-Lilith trine provides a massive surge of liberation. You experience a deep emotional catharsis that allows you to permanently release the need for external validation regarding your belief systems and lifestyle choices. You'll find yourself capable of vocalizing your most controversial or hidden thoughts with absolute ease and grace. And here's what's wild. The fifth house solar activation suggests that this radical authenticity will make you highly magnetic. You'll draw in romantic, financial, or creative opportunities that align entirely with your untamed nature. Sagittarius, you win by realizing that your wildness is not a liability, it's your greatest currency. The more unapologetically yourself you become, the more the universe rewards you. Leo, create for your pleasure, not their applause. Leo, you sit at the natural apex of this fire trine. With natal placements in Leo, the transiting Sun and transiting Lilith form a temporary grand fire trine in the sky. This is massive. The Sun is your planetary ruler. Any major solar aspect profoundly dictates your life direction, physical vitality, and psychological center. Right now, the Sun is transiting your 9th house of higher learning and expansion, while Lilith is transiting your 5th house of creativity, risk, and romance. Here's the challenge you've been facing. As a natural performer, you're endowed with warmth, charisma, and an eye for quality. You know how to captivate a room. You understand presentation. But the shadow side of this gift is the tendency to perform for the applause of the crowd rather than the fulfillment of your soul. You've been diluting your unique frequency to remain universally adored. You've been creating what you think people want to see instead of what your soul demands to express. You've been wearing the mask of performative joy while your deeper, more complex, more intense passions remain hidden. Tomorrow, the Sun-Lilith trine challenges you to drop the mask. It's an invitation to embrace your most provocative, strange, and sacred path. To stop digesting yourself for the consumption of others, and to radiate your absolute, unapologetic power. When you remove the performance and allow your darker, more complex passions to surface, something miraculous happens. You attract significant abundance. Your public standing elevates. You experience a profound professional or creative breakthrough. The trine grants you permission to be an artist of your own life, creating strictly for your own pleasure. And here's the irony. When you stop chasing universal adoration through compromise, you receive the exact recognition you previously sought. But this time, it's authentic. This time, it's yours. Remember that teaser? Here's why you've been feeling the pressure build. At the beginning, I mentioned that if you've been feeling this strange pressure building inside you, there's a specific reason. This is it. The Sun-Lilith trine doesn't just happen tomorrow. You've been feeling its approach for days, maybe even weeks. Astrological transits don't flip on like light switches. They build, they intensify, they create tension before the release. If you've been feeling restless, like something inside you is trying to break through the surface, that's Lilith demanding to be acknowledged. If you've been experiencing sudden frustration with people-pleasing behaviors, with biting your tongue, with shrinking yourself in conversations, that's the Sun preparing to illuminate what you've been suppressing. This pressure you're feeling, it's not anxiety, it's not a problem. It's the energy of your authentic self pushing against the walls of the cage you've been living in. And tomorrow, those walls come down. The reason it feels uncomfortable right now is because you're standing in the threshold. You're not fully in the old paradigm anymore, but you haven't fully stepped into the new one yet. You're in that liminal space where transformation happens, and liminal spaces are never comfortable. But tomorrow, at 9:40 at night, the alignment becomes exact. The energy shifts from building to releasing, and that pressure you've been feeling, it transforms into power. The Libra full moon, testing your new boundaries. Here's something most people aren't talking about. This Sun-Lilith trine isn't happening in isolation. Less than 25 hours after the exact alignment, on April 1st at 10:10 at night, we have a full moon in Libra. This is critical. The Libra full moon sits at 12 degrees and 20 minutes, forming a direct geometric alignment with Lilith at 11 degrees Sagittarius. The moon in Libra naturally opposes the sun in Aries, but it also forms a supportive sextile to Lilith. A full moon in Libra demands an examination of balance, harmony, partnerships, and justice. It forces you to evaluate where personal autonomy intersects with the reality, needs, and expectations of other people. Traditionally, Libra energy defaults to smoothing over conflicts, people-pleasing, suppressing personal needs to maintain superficial peace. But this full moon is inextricably linked to the empowering wake of the Sun-Lilith trine. The traditional conflict-avoidant Libra response is no longer energetically supported. What this means: tomorrow, you reclaim your power. The day after tomorrow, you're immediately tested on whether you're going to keep it. The full moon will shine a harsh, unavoidable light on every relationship, every exchange of energy. It asks profound questions. Where are you chronically overgiving? Where are you maintaining partnerships out of fear of abandonment? Where are you pretending a dynamic is functional when it's fundamentally draining your life force? This lunation acts as a definitive boundary-setting event. The authentic power you reclaimed on March 31st is now applied directly to romantic, business, and platonic relationships. You're encouraged, and in many ways forced by circumstance, to release relationships or behavioral roles that no longer reflect your true self. The temptation will be to compromise just enough to keep the peace. But the deeper astrological mandate here is that restoring genuine balance sometimes requires applying direct force against the prevailing tide. What stopping the apology actually looks like. Let's get practical. What does it mean to stop apologizing in real, tangible terms? It means when someone says you're too much, you no longer internalize it as a character flaw. You recognize it as their limitation, not yours. It means when you walk into a room and your energy shifts the entire atmosphere, you don't immediately try to make yourself smaller. You let yourself take up space. It means when you have a controversial opinion, a truth that goes against the consensus, you speak it anyway. You stop prefacing your statements with, "I don't know if this makes sense, but," or "maybe I'm wrong," but you own your knowing. It means when you want something, a relationship, a job, an opportunity, you go after it directly instead of waiting to be chosen, waiting to be invited, waiting for someone else to validate your desire. It means when someone tries to make you feel guilty for setting a boundary, for saying no, for prioritizing your own needs, you don't cave. You hold the line. Tomorrow's alignment isn't asking you to become something you're not. It's asking you to stop pretending to be something you're not. There's a massive difference. For too long, you've been managing other people's reactions to your existence. You've been calculating every move, every word, every expression based on how it might be received. You've been living in a state of constant self-editing, constant self-censorship. Tomorrow, that exhausting performance ends. Not because you've decided to be reckless or inconsiderate, but because you've realized that the energy you've been spending trying to control others' perceptions of you is energy that could be spent actually living your life. The one thing that could block your breakthrough. There's only one thing that can sabotage tomorrow's energy: resistance. If you receive this surge of authentic power and immediately second-guess it, immediately try to rationalize it away, immediately fall back into old patterns of self-doubt, you'll miss the window. The fire trine offers effortless momentum, but effortless doesn't mean automatic. You still have to choose it. You still have to reach out and take what's being offered. The biggest block won't come from external circumstances. It'll come from the voice in your head that says, "Who do you think you are? You can't just change overnight. People will think you're being fake. This isn't realistic." That voice, that's not wisdom. That's fear. That's the conditioning that's been keeping you small. Tomorrow, when you feel that surge of confidence, when you hear that inner knowing telling you exactly what you want and exactly how to get it, when you feel the impulse to speak your truth without apology, don't hesitate. Don't analyze it to death. Act. Because the universe is handing you a gift, but you have to unwrap it. You have to say yes. You have to step forward into the power that's being offered. After tomorrow, everything changes. March 31st isn't just another day, it's a demarcation line. There's the version of you that exists before this alignment, and there's the version that exists after. The before version apologized, shrunk, second-guessed, performed, edited, compromised. The after version, that's the one who finally understands that being too much for some people simply means you're not meant for those people. That's the one who realizes their intensity, their passion, their raw authenticity is not a bug, it's the feature. And here's what happens when you step into that version. Life starts moving differently. Opportunities appear that were invisible before. People who resonate with your true frequency start showing up. Situations that drained you start falling away without you even having to force them out. It's not magic, it's alignment. When you stop fragmenting your energy by trying to be everything to everyone, when you consolidate your power by being unapologetically yourself, you become magnetic in a way you never were while performing. Tomorrow marks the beginning of that shift. The Sun-Lilith trine unlocks the door, but you're the one who has to walk through it. If you're still watching, I'd like to thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Your support is very appreciated. Feel free to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments below, especially if you're an Aries, Sagittarius, or Leo feeling this energy intensely right now. Until next time, take care and subscribe for more insightful content.